Alright everybody, Coglin Arrow is back again, and today we are going to look over the Shadowland. We're going to go through the first 5 levels of Shadowland, and I'm going to kind of talk you through how I pick which section inside of each level of Shadowland I pick, as well as the team that I choose. And throughout this week I'm going to go through 5 levels at a time until we get all the way up, hopefully, to level 25. I've gotten stuck there a couple of weeks in a row, but we're going to see if we can't make it happen. I've got some new 6 stars for this week. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at level 1. Level 1 is always going to be the same. It's always going to be a relay mode, which means that you're going to have characters taking turn fighting, a 3v3, well, 3v some number. And then the rewards are always going to be the same. 20 Northern Stones of Chaos and some rank 1 BAM. So let's go ahead and take a look. And always, every week, Stage 1 has the same requirement, combat-type characters. To find out what characters you have that match the battle tip, and it's not a tip, it is a requirement, no matter what they say. You're going to go over here, and we're going to go ahead and select Combat. Now, we want to avoid our Tier 2s. We're going to save those for as late as possible. Some of the Tier 2s, like Moon Knight and Ant-Man, we have to use a little earlier, as their DPS can't hold up in the later rounds. But for now, we're going to try to go down here and pick some Tier 1s. There are 2 Tier 1s that I always use for Level 1 Shadowland. That's either Hulkbuster or Amadeus Cho. So either the Buster or the Hulk. And these are just my preferred ones. They can almost clear level 1 on their own. They do need some help. Now, when you're picking who to go in with you, what you're going to want to keep in mind is who is a striker for who. To be able to find that out, you're going to go here into your team setup. You're going to go down here to the Marvel Universe button, and you'll find your character. So we can go to Just Combat, and we're going to check out, this week we're going to use Hulkbuster as our first round character. That is obviously the uniform that we have. And over here, there's a striker button. So all of these characters are striker for Hulkbuster. So they'll pop in occasionally if they're on the team and help out. Now, taking this information, we're going to go back into Shadowland. Here we go. And we're going to team up Captain America. Now, I don't always enjoy doing this because Captain America can be somewhat useful later on, and when I use Amadeus Cho, I have others that I use, but he is good. He can buy time, as my Hulkbuster is a little more squishy than a lot of other people's. I am thinking about Tier 2ing him just to have him be able to solo this on his own, but for now we're going to have Cap come help us out. So let's go ahead and, yes, it will give you this warning. You can use 3, you can use up to 3, but you don't have to. And you want to use less than 3 if you can. You want to use the least amount of characters in each level that you can, so you have more options at the higher levels. So we're going to go ahead and hop in here. And it's, Stage 1 is always going to have the same enemies. You have Hawkeye, you have Spider-Man, you have, let's see here. I'll be able to name them when it pulls up. Fight them every week. You think I'd know them by heart. Winter Soldier and Ant-Man. So, with Hulkbuster, I'm going to go 5 into 4. I like 1 and then 3. Now, the thing about Hulkbuster is you're able to use all of his attacks as a rotation. You don't have to use all of them, but you definitely can. And you want to favor iframes. I don't think any of his have actual iframes. I have never been able to verify that. You can verify that if you would like to by going into the screen that lets you play around with the characters and try it out, see what shows up. See there, Cap just came in as a striker. I have the Civil War Cap uniform. I just button mash Cap. Cap does not do enough DPS for you to really worry about a rotation, and his summons is not the same type as him, so his summon is pretty useless in Shadowland. So here we can see that Oh, we went ahead and won. All right. So, minute and 3, not my best time, but definitely not the worst time in the world. And we're going to go ahead and, yeah, since this is the first time I've played Shadowland on the computer, it's trying to give me all the story again. Alright, so now we're going to go into 2. Now on 2, this changes from week to week, and you have a choice. They're always all Rumble modes. I hate Rumble modes. Rumble is where 4 characters show up, and they battle your 3 characters. 3 on 3, with the 4th one switching in when you've successfully killed one of their guys. I hate these modes because they are more intensive. They require you to use 3. It's very difficult to complete it with less than 3. You can, this week we have a combat type, we have a blast type, then I believe the last one is speed, yeah, and a speed type, so one of each type. You get to pick, and what I like to do is just kind of take a look at what characters I feel like wasting on this low of a level. Let's make a decision here. Probably should have decided this before. But let's go ahead and do the speed. I'm gonna go ahead and use Ant-Man. Ant-Man has very low DPS. It doesn't really, if you have a tier 2 Ant-Man, they have a high survivability, but it doesn't matter really where you use them. They're gonna have low DPS. So what we want to do is get some support. I am terrible at playing Kate, so I'm gonna go ahead and have her one of the ones the NPC controls. And then we want somebody with some iframes, so I'm going to grab Yondu. My Yondu is not maxed out. If your Yondu is maxed out, don't waste him in this way. He's good at higher levels, and he is a great tier 2 target to be able to solo some higher levels. But this is how I'm going to play, so let's see how it works out. And on these Rumbles, I can never guarantee that I'm going to win them. As I said, I hate them. It's very intensive on your character usage, and they are quite challenging in most respects, until you find a character that can, Ancient One is always a good backup on blast ones, as she can pretty much solo any blast Rumble. Alright, so with Ant-Man first, we want to crush him, and we want to keep 4 up as often as possible. Now, another key is to shrink them. I see a lot of people not shrinking them, and if you don't shrink your enemies, you're going to lose a lot of DPS. I had to try to use him at a higher level of Shadowland and had to max out his DPS. He has an attack set. He has everything set to increase his DPS as much as possible. Because you don't have to worry about his survivability. If you play him smart, if you keep 4 up as much as possible, make sure that you shrink. So it's just 5, 4, and then 3. 5, 4, and 3. Sometimes I accidentally hit 1 because I think it's 3, but it is not. And that's going to keep him alive, and it's going to kill the bad guys. Uh-oh. Alright, so we've got just Wasp. Now, Wasp is a little tricky because she can go invulnerable. So you got to keep that 4 iframe up as much as possible to keep her from going invulnerable. And I don't believe she's going to be able to put out enough DPS to take down my Ant-Man. The other thing that kind of sucks is that if you have a higher VIP level, you can normally switch out into another character on Rumble modes and heal. You do have to have a certain level of VIP to get that healing, but that is very powerful in Shadowlands, and it's not an option here. See, right now I have to hope I can get it. We got it, because I can't switch him out to heal him at all. Even if there were other characters alive, switching between them does not heal. So there we go. That was level 2. And now we're going to go to level 3. Level 3 is always relay modes, 3 relay modes. But there are, I think, 5 different ones that can pop up. This week we have that combat one, we have that blast one, and that speed one. I think they're always going to be one of each, but I could be mistaken on that. I don't pay that much attention. What we're going to do is go ahead and go with a blast type. That way we'll have at least one of each type by the end of the day. And I'll go ahead and show you how Ancient One can almost solo. I do bring in some of my weaker ones, some of my more squishy ones, just to be able to help out with a little bit more DPS, distract the guys a little bit longer. Iron Man is terrible in Shadowlands. He's weak. He does not pump out enough DPS to highlight, but he is a warm body. Sister Grimm can be good, but she is too squishy to be on her own. And if I'm planning on tier 2ing her, because once you tier 2 her, she has a bit more survivability, and I may be able to solo something with her. Let me know in the comments if you're able to solo anything with her, and let me know in the comments if you felt that I should have picked different characters on any of these. I definitely want to hear from you. Now, on Blast type ones, don't use Moon Girl. Her main DPS, realistically, in my experience at least, comes from Devil Dinosaur, her summon. Excuse me, and he is combat type, not blast type. So in blast type ones, he is not going to be a good choice. She can be a warm body in these the rumble modes, but in relay modes, she's not really going to be something to switch out into. Now, we are doing a relay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save Iron Man. He has some good team-ups later on, and we'll just keep her to be able to switch into if we need it. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. Here we go. Stage 3, Shadowlands. And again, this is Blast type. So this Blast type is going to feature... You're going to be going up against combat characters as they are weak to Blast type. Now, let me show you here. You see this buff that they all have makes it so that you can't really deal damage with the other types. Even universal types are going to have trouble dealing with it. Now, for her, you want to keep that 5 up, and you want to make sure that you hit that 1 whenever you can. I'm sorry, 4. 4 makes her invisible. And then from there, you can button mash the other ones. But 4 and 5 need to be up all of the time. 3 is a really good DPS move. I normally see my killing go much quicker when I utilize that. She is able to summon a copy of herself. And 5 heals. So it is that is why you want to keep 5 up. That bubble is going to, when your invisibility drops, because unless you have higher skill cooldown than I do, you're going to have a little bit of time where they can hit you, and you're going to want to heal up because she can be very squishy. Does not take a lot for her to go down. I have had those experiences where she gets 1 stun, and then dies. So immune to guard break is also a great option for her to be able to avoid those ugly situations. And so we've got Punisher about to go down, and then we'll just have Cap. And this is kind of rolling on easy mode this low. You can save Ancient One higher. She can deal with mid-teen levels, I would say, is about as high as I would go with her. So maybe 13, 14. But I do like her down here just because it is a pretty quick, pretty easy way to kind of slide through that. So there we go. We didn't even have to switch out. Now, if you get towards the end and you think, oh, okay, I'm not going to have to switch out, you can pause it and leave it, and you'll still have all of your characters still available. It's not like Villain Siege where you lose them. And then you can go back in with just the 1 character. Now, do note when you are soloing because the other character is a striker and you're getting that extra DPS, because then you may not be able to solo it. Alright, so 4. 4 is going to be a mix. I love this relay mode. It's a universal relay mode. And you saw the other 2, let's go back here. The other 2 were rumbles. I don't like rumbles. We're going to avoid those. So universal, I like because it's always these same 3 characters. You always have Ronan, you always have Ghost Rider, and you always have Thor. Now, Ghost Rider is going to be immune to fire, Thor is going to be immune to lightning, but they're only going to use those attacks. So you can use Thor and Ghost Rider of your own to kind of buffer taking their damage while they kill Ronan, and then Ghost Rider kills Thor, or Thor kills Ghost Rider, and then you can have a second option, switch in to kill. Now, when it comes to Universal, Ronan is quite powerful. Save him for a higher level because that buff is massive, and you're gonna want him later on. Groot is in the Thor Thrut costume, is able to soak up Thor's lightning. He's completely immune to lightning, so he's a great option when you want somebody to just soak up that lightning. Note that Hellstorm, Ghost Rider, and I believe there's one other, all deal fire damage. Satana also deals fire damage. So you're going to want to not use them when it's just Ghost Rider, obviously. The best universals for being able to deal with the one that your main is immune to is going to be Medusa. Clea is amazing at that. Lady Thor is good when you have somebody immune to fire. And let's go ahead and switch to Universal. I have not played with Black Bolt. He's one of my new 6 stars, so we'll see how he works out. But Ultron, as weak as he is actually surprisingly good at dealing with either Thor or Ghost Rider once they're the only one left. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and have Thrut in there. And then let's go with Medusa. Medusa is realistically able to solo this almost on her own. But it is nice to have Thrut there to throw in a heal. Let's see here. Thrut is physical damage. You do want to pay attention to your leader bonuses because, as you can see, the physical defense is much weaker than your all attacks. Down here, team ups are great. You're typically going to save a lot of those for higher levels, and at lower levels, you're just going to be getting warm bodies in there or strategically placed characters. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. And so now, since we have Thrut in the backfield, we're going to aim at the characters that aren't Thor, because once if Medusa gets down to a low enough level of heal that we want to pull in, or low enough amount of health that we want to pull in Thrut to do his heal, we're going to need to we're going to want Thor to be out there so that Thrut can absorb as much damage as possible. Now, Medusa, you're typically going to want to make sure that you use the 1 and the 5. Those are very important. Whoop, see there? We already switched out. Now, when you switch Thrut in to heal, you're going to want to deal your damage and wait until the other person is ready to switch out. Now, when you switch Medusa into a Thrut heal, 3 is the best option to go with. But 5, 3, and 1 are your best damage dealers. 1 is great, not because it deals a lot of damage, but because it makes her invulnerable. So when you see one of their big attacks coming, when Thor's about to pull down the lightning on you, you can throw out a 1 like that, and it nullifies his attack. So we've got Ghost Rider is almost down. I try not to use the other attacks unless I have to, but sometimes you got to. There's that guard break that it's so nice to have immunity from. And we throw down a heal. We switch out into 3. And then drill them. Get 5. Now the problem is I don't have enough skill cooldown to be able to not have to use 2 and 4 ever. So sometimes I do have to use 2 and 4. But I try to avoid it if I can. Now, what you don't want to do is end up like I just did, where you have nothing that you can do, as that is a recipe for disaster. And you do want to keep 3 up as much as possible, just in case you see them going in for that, and you can prevent it. Not a fan of doing it on the computer because the mouse button is very hard to get over there. 3. And Thrute healing is quite valuable. If you can save it until later, definitely do so. I try to team up Thrute and Medusa because his heal teams up so well with her vulnerability move, as she can as he can throw down the heal and then she can come into an invulnerability and get take full advantage of the heal. And there we go. We got through stage 4. Now, most people with a reasonable arsenal of characters are not going to have any problem getting up to 5. So it's very rare that you're not going to be able to get up to 5. So again, we have 2 rumbles and our universal relay. We're going to do universal relay. I hate using all of my universals lower, but you want to have them all by about 12. Because then you're going to just run out of universal relays and they're no longer going to be as useful. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and grab Lady Thor for our lightning, and she's going to provide that lightning resist as a leader to everybody on the team. Destroyer is actually not a bad choice to bring in because he can absorb. All of them have energy attacks. He can absorb those pretty decently. He can somewhat tank them. He also works with Lady Thor, Jane Foster Thor, whatever you call her, and buffs all attack. All attack is a premium buff. Max HP is fine, but it's not quite as good as all attack. And then, let's see here. I'll go ahead and bring Proxima in as she can absorb a little bit of damage, and it does buff up the number of characters because, as you can see, you go from 3 to 3.1. And you also get the addition, see here, you just get all attack, all defense. There you're also getting the addition of max HP. Not great, but definitely worth having another warm body in there, especially since, not Proxima, Singularity, I keep calling her Proxima, especially since Singularity is not the tip-top of characters in Shadowland. She can be if you tier 2 her and you build her just right, but she is somebody you have to invest a lot of time and a lot of resources into to make good. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. So since we have Lady Thor up front, we're going to target Ghost Rider and then Ronan. When Destroyer comes in, you're just going to button mash him. He has 4 abilities, and they rotate pretty evenly. And now Lady Thor, I haven't quite figured out what works best with her. If you have a rotation, go ahead and leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But I mostly button mash with her, and it is somewhat successful. Now this button will call in whoever she has a team up with in the sidelines, and that can be very helpful. Okay, so 4 is very important because that is the energy one. So if you see them coming out with a major attack, using 4 will, like I should have used it with that, using 4 will soak that up. He also has the ability to stun pretty decently, so once somebody's down to by themselves, he's going to be able to hit them hard. See right there? We absorb and then reflect. Let's pull in Singularity here. As you can see, she's not really doing a whole lot in DPS, and once she starts taking hits, you're going to see that she cannot take them very well at all. So let's pull out Lady Thor, our heavy hitter here, and get her back on Ghost Rider. You do want to pay attention to who you are attacking, because when you are attacking the wrong person, that can destroy you. As you see, when she was attacking Thor, this team up is not doing quite as well. I do not honestly have enough experience with Lady Thor to be putting her out front and center like this, but we do what we got to. I just was really hoping to save Thor and Ghost Rider for mid-teen levels, so hopefully we'll still be able to pull this off. It is looking less and less like it every little bit here. I want to keep these people alive as long as possible, because as long as there's people on the bench, we can pull them in for heals. Alright, now, since we lost Singularity, Destroyer is going to have to take out Thor, which is pretty tough ask. I was hoping that I would have Singularity left. Now she's going to be able to tank while he heals, but we're running really low on time. Now, as you can see, she does have that little tiny bit of physical damage in there that does hit them. If we don't pass it this time, which is going to be close. Come on. Oh, we got it. Yes. Whew. If I had not beaten it, I probably would have switched Singularity out, and that would have been enough to push us over the edge. Destroyer is not good to solo with somebody with like Lady Thor or Ghost Rider, because he, as you can see, his DPS output is not very good. His ability to absorb the damage is good, but his DPS output is not. So that is the first 5 levels of Shadowland. And whenever you get done with Shadowland for the day, always make sure you go into your inventory and collect all of those delicious goodies. Especially level 5 and 10 and 15, you're going to get biometrics. And as you can see, I have biometrics stored up here. So let's do this. Vote in the comments. Oh, looks like daily reset happened. Vote in the comments on who you think I should get up to 5 stars next, and I will spend my bios on whoever you guys pick. And let me show you what we've got as options. Any of our 5 stars. So we've got Doc Ock in his Superior Spider-Man outfit. We've got Rocket Raccoon. We've got Hulk. We've got Sif. We've got Deathlock. We've got Crystal. We've got Mockingbird. We've got Miles Morales Spider-Man. And that's it. So Miles Morales, Mockingbird, Crystal, Deathlock, Sif, Hulk, Rocket Raccoon, and Dr. Octopus. Shout out in the comments who you want, and whoever I see with the most comments, I will invest all... Let's see here. Oh, let me claim all those. I will invest all, what is this, 110 bios into, and then continue to invest into those bios as well. Oh, and it also looks like we've got a St. Patrick's Day celebration coming up, so everybody go into your inventory and get your platinum gift box. Let's see what mine is. Ready? Here we go. 30 Nornstones of Chaos. Disappointing. Very disappointing. But hey, you know what? It's free stuff. Thanks, Netmarble, for the free stuff. And thank you guys for listening in. I really hope that you stick around for the next episode, that you enjoyed what you heard, and you guys have a great day.